Everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this Netflix review. The fact that you are willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my content really does mean the world to me. For those of you that are unaware, I review everything that gets released on Netflix. So if you're ever curious about whether something is good, bad, or completely mediocre, come to my channel and I will let you know. And today we're going to be talking about a new Spanish true crime series called Murder by the Coast. And guys, I'm going to be brutally honest with you. This was one of the hardest true crime documentaries for me to watch. True crime isn't necessarily something I watch for fun. I don't enjoy finding out about how people died, how people were murdered or worse. What I look for a lot in true crime documentaries is a reflection of humanity. Because these are all true cases that are capturing what really happened in our world and in our society. And so you get cases like the Night Stalker, which ultimately leave you feeling horrified by the actions of the murderer, but uplifted and inspired by the actions of the community that helped, capture him. And there's a lot of documentaries that really can inspire you and inform you about like how great humanity can be, how we can pull together. But then you get other documentaries like this one that just remind you that, humanity just isn't that great. So let's just break down what this documentary is about. So just quickly, in 1999, a 19-year-old girl was murdered along the coast. And that's how this documentary starts. It's about this young woman and we're trying to discover who murdered her. But then slowly that bleeds out into other cases and we end up getting what appears to be a serial killer, not just in Spain, but all the way in Europe as well. So it just grows exponentially. And there's a lot about this series, especially about the way that it shines a light on human communities that is really sad and depressing. We are told the story of one of the suspects of the crime, and she unfortunately gets sent to prison for 17 months for a crime she didn't commit. But you can see how her local community, the jury, and news outlets were vilifying her, using her sexual orientation as an excuse to hate her. Using her personality, she's so standoffish, she must be a murderer. There's someone that's innocent, but is being painted as a murderer, and she didn't do anything wrong. But I can see that's a reflection of humanity in the fact that sometimes we're so angry, we want to blame someone. And there was a scapegoat who was really, really easy. And the documentary does a great job of saying there was no actual evidence to support her going to prison. But the community had just gotten this idea in their head and they had this hatred for her, and she was sent to prison for 17 months for a crime she didn't commit. And even after that fact, she's proven innocent, she's brought out, everyone knows she's not the murderer. And people still keep giving her sly looks. People still to this day are asking her like, why did you do it? Or did you do it? And it goes on. And it's heartbreaking. And I'll say that's probably the highlight of this documentary, is to show how crappy sometimes people are. Just by the way we can make assumptions about people and the way we can just assume things, even though there is literally no evidence to back it up. That really broke my heart. But yes, okay, so I always have an issue with a lot of cold case documentaries. Thankfully, this isn't one of those. We do get closure. We find out who the murderer is. We learn all about the entire trial. We learn about his history. In regards to information about the murderer, I feel like this documentary did a great job of actually giving us all the information we require, which is great. When you're watching a documentary, you actually want to learn stuff. You want to be informed. That's why we watch documentaries. And so this documentary actually did a good job of providing us with all of the information in an entertaining way. My biggest drawback from this series, my biggest point of annoyance with this documentary has to do with how they shot the talking heads. Like, for example, if I was one of the MCs of the documentary, or if I was one of the witnesses, this isn't how they would film me. They literally filmed them like this. I'm not even exaggerating. They had all this headroom up here and they were just a little head. Or they were like this, talking to the side, all the way back here. So there was always, no matter where they were, there was just always so much headroom and empty space. And so you lost that intimacy. These are people telling you very real stories. You want to feel like you're there with them. You want to be immersed in their stories. And it's very difficult when this is all you see. It was a very strange shooting choice And I don't know why they necessarily did it, because every time I looked, I almost started giggling to myself. It was shot so weirdly, and these are very dramatic stories are being told. Why are the talking heads so weirdly shot and so impersonal? And then another issue I had, the first half of the documentary, majority of it just uses footage from 1999. And I love it when we get to see real, actual footage. The only issue is this documentary spends so much time in 1999. The quality of the filming just wasn't good back then. Like the actual video quality was like 360p or something. So you have to spend a lot of time watching a really grainy, very blurry documentary. And it really gets grating. I know that sounds dumb, because I said I enjoy when they use actual like news clippings or articles, and because that shows the realism of it all. That shows how engaging it is. Very often what they'll do is they'll take some archival footage and then mix it in with some modern reenactments. And that's not what they do in this documentary. In this documentary, it's just 1999 footage over and over and over and over and over again. And it's just like, am I watching a really old YouTube video? Am I watching an actual Netflix documentary? But guys, ultimately, at the end of the day, I believe if you just enjoy true crime, if you're a true crime fan, this documentary is going to be for you, and I would highly recommend it. So if you guys haven't yet, please check out my channel. I've got a lot of other true crime reviews, and I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you give those videos a watch, give them a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and I hope to see you again in another review.